attempted this earlier, but we're going to start again with the farmer's market haul. And first up, ferments. Next up, eggs. We got 4 dozen. I got 5 pounds of lamb. For vegetables this week, they're calling it the Florida winter, which is funny because like I haven't lived here and bought local food, but all the farmers are saying like wintering because it's going to be really hot, so there's not going to be a lot of stuff. But we got broccoli, and we got cucumbers, and we got a lot of tomatoes, and I got these. I'm super excited about this vinegar made with local fruit. I got a mulberry one and a peach one, and I asked her if she would teach a live workshop, and maybe people in Mama Baby Biome could learn how to make their own fermented vinegars. That'd be fun. Let me know if you want that. We got jalapenos and parsley. Love herbs. We also have these amazing garlic chives. I didn't get more because they're from last week, but now that I'm thinking and saying this out loud to you guys, I think I should have gotten more of the garlic chives and then made garlic chive salt, which can still happen. Next week, or maybe there's 2 more weeks of markets before the Florida winter, aka the Florida summer. What else is in here? Cherry tomatoes. We eat these things like they're gold because they are. And this was funny. The cantaloupes were on the ground and my kids kept picking them up. And so we ended up taking 4 home because they were like rolling them on the floor and everything. But I love like local melon. See, this was a bowling ball thanks to Adelaide. So I'm going to move this one to the sink to let it go. Rinse it off. And we got 5 pounds of sugar-free bacon. We got a great bacon hookup. So excited about this. It's delicious and it has nothing. It's just smoked with salt. So that's amazing. Don't know what the pigs eat, but I can find out later. Cool 10-pound carrots. There's like a lot of food right now. And this happens in Washington too, where I used to live. It would be like abundant in September. And so I'm guessing that's kind of what's going on here right now. Onions, and I think that's pretty much it for the veg. Oh, we got these little baby cabbages. I'm going to make some like slaw with them. Not going to ferment them because I already have some ferments going. But I'm going to make like fresh slaw with herbs and eat it with shrimp. And then I was telling you guys about these sausages before. I love these. Sausages are great to buy and have on hand. These are smoked. So this is actually a common travel item for us because they don't have to be cooked. And Augie loves them just cold, and I actually do too. And so they're great because they're just sea salt and pork, and they're smoked. So they have that smoky flavor. They're really good sausages though. I also got a broth kit and liver. If you haven't seen my pate reel, go and check that out, but not yet. Stay with me live. And I got some ground chicken, which I don't usually get, but I like to make this into like carnivore pizza and carnivore flatbreads. So it's like cheese and garlic and really, really good. Egg you put in there, you bake it, and it's just like meat pizza, basically. Super yummy. So yeah, that was my farmer's market haul, and I made a grocery video for you all, and I just kind of explained in that video. It's going to be posted sometime this week. I explained like how we buy groceries and, this food. We have a lot of this food, so I have to process it. I'm probably going to ferment some of those carrots, probably going to juice some of those carrots and make them into like juice ice cubes. And then it would do me really good if I made a bunch of batches of chicken soup and made a bunch of, chicken soup with carrots and put those in there. That'd probably be a really great thing to do and store and freeze. So yeah, that's our little market haul. This probably cost us like $350, and most of the meat, won't be eaten in a week at all. We just like to buy in bulk and keep it in our freezers. That's the best way. Honestly, I don't really meal plan, but I do cook based on what I crave. And so I like to have options in the freezer. And like when you buy in bulk, it just shows the farmer that you're serious. And so you're more likely to get deals and hookups and that kind of thing. So for the second part of this live, I am going to answer any questions that you have and talk a little bit about my story, and my kids are going to be back and I'm going to put them to bed soon, so it might be an abrupt ending, but I can definitely talk about anything you have questions about and just generally what I am about on this page, because there's a lot of new people here and a lot of people don't know me yet. And so I like to occasionally, I used to do a lot more lives, but basically just occasionally pop on here and let people know what I offer, how to work with me, what I'm about, and a little bit how I got started, and of course to answer your questions. So if you have questions about baby gut health or baby food or toddler food, or your food values, your food standards, your budget, anything like that, I can help you with. And Erin is asking me, I know this is off topic, but when do you start introducing whole milk to your babies? Love this topic. So I actually don't introduce whole milk to my children just to drink. I'm not necessarily opposed to it from like a nutrition standpoint. I think a lot of people this can be a pretty good transition for them, especially if they can get raw milk. But that's not what I do with my kids. What I do with my kids is I give them fermented milk. What is fermented milk? Basically, I take milk and I mix it with kefir grains. And kefir grains, they look like little cauliflower clumps. And they're a living, they're kind of like a SCOBY. It's a living colony of yeast and bacteria. And you put these grains in the milk and it eats up the lactose. The lactose is milk sugar. And there's lactose in breast milk, and humans definitely can eat some sugars. But I find for children these days, the best thing you can give them in a lot of cases is fermented milk. And so when it comes to weaning, and if they're no longer on breast milk and they're eating solid foods, I really recommend using fermented milk and fermented dairy products, because you get a lot of the nutrition out of the dairy product, but you don't get any of the sugar. And my teacher was like, the more kefir you drink and the more kefir your children drink, the healthier they will be. And so I've seen powerful transformations with kefir. And so we buy our raw milk products, we make kefir, we make yogurt, and I do give my children heavy cream. That's raw, that's not fermented. The lactose is way less in that, way less sugar. And so I just feel like it serves their guts really well. Of course, I love ghee, I love butter, I love dairy products, but when it comes to helping babies get off to the best start, I really recommend fermenting the milk, because you're giving them the benefits of the milk, all the nutrients. There's a reason why in our heads we think babies need milk, because they do, because it's a very whole food, right? And breast milk is the best, and your breast milk is going to be nutrient dense as much as your diet is nutrient dense. And when it comes to getting babies off of the breast milk and on to other foods, I just think the best thing to do is to give them kefir and yogurt. And I do that a lot. I give a lot. So they have an open, with my daughter, we haven't been on it as much lately, but we need to get back on it. But with my son, it would have, a little stainless steel cup and just have unlimited amounts of kefir all day long. And usually it would be about 12 ounces, sometimes up to 24. And that's alongside, eating bone marrow, eating beef, eating sauerkraut, eating cooked vegetables. He has a very diverse palate and diverse diet. Okay, what would you give a 2-year-old who has a bad stomach bug causing bad diarrhea for 24 hours? Aw, I'm so sorry. When the sicknesses come on, it feels so panicky, and it's hard work, because we have to be really there for our children in another kind of way. But what I think is the best thing to do is just nourish the little bit that she'll take, a little bit of chicken meat stock, and keep her warm and snuggle her, and let her have breast milk if she's still breastfeeding, and hydration, so sea salt and a little water, lemon water, but really it's just got to pass. And then I would consult homeopathy to clear that virus. Yeah. Okay. Jade. Hi, Jade. I introduced kefir to my baby, but I noticed she flared. What would you do with your kefir grains while waiting to reintroduce the kefir again? Okay, so first of all, good noticing. If she flared, that doesn't necessarily mean she's not ready for it. In terms, like, it's very common, especially if she had eczema and you give her kefir, that's going to cause a flare because it's going to cause die-off of bad yeast in her body. Kefir's full of beneficial yeast, and so it's fighting the good fight, basically, for your daughter. But with all die-off and any die-off, you want it to be only as much as you can handle. What I would do with her is get it to the dose where you feel comfortable giving her that much kefir, like whatever dose it is. If it's a drop, it's a drop. If it's a teaspoon, it's a teaspoon. If it's 3 teaspoons, 3 teaspoons. And stay with that. And then I would put a little bit of kefir on her skin where there's no flare. If we're talking an eczema flare, I'm just assuming you are. And if it's not, you can clarify, and anyone else, this will help you. So put a little bit of the kefir on the skin where there's not an eczema flare and wait like a couple hours and make sure it doesn't get any angry bumps or flare up or anything. If it doesn't, then move to putting kefir on that eczema patch and keep going with a small amount of kefir internally and let that microbiome change over with the delicious kefir. Now, in terms of what would I do for the kefir grains while waiting, just cover them with a little bit of milk and put them in the fridge. They will go on vacation. Can you make kefir with pasteurized milk? Absolutely. I just recommend getting low pasteurized milk if you can, but pasteurized milk, absolutely you can make kefir with. Let's see. I'm not going to add anyone to the video, but if you want to ask me a question in the chat, that'd be awesome. My 9-month-old is dealing with really bad eczema. We cut out everything except meat and stock. Are you in my course? If not, you should get in the course. And, you know, with eczema, it's not necessarily like, you don't want to necessarily just do an elimination diet for a long time. I know a lot of people think like meat stock will heal, so let me just do meat stock. But there are other foods that will help your baby heal as well, especially like fermented foods. And if the fermented foods are causing too much of a flare, then you need to get to a microdose. And I actually teach this. I have a histamine lesson inside of my inside of the First Foods course. And so I teach you how to start so slow in a way that you're not even noticing that it's making a difference, but you're still inviting those gut bugs in, those good gut bugs, which is changing over the microbiome. So for you, Leslie, I definitely recommend the First Foods course if you're not already in there, because there's nuanced things that you're not seeing right now, and it's so stressful to be in that eczema cycle. I feel for you, and like, I never knew I was going to help so many moms with eczema, but it is one of my favorite things to do because it just is like such a relief when you get that resolve. And the other thing is like meat and stock, she might need to switch up the meat. Like it could be the chicken, like what the chicken's eating, the corn or the soy, or just like chickens are just kind of, it's funny because I like chicken and they help my son a lot. And then when it came to my daughter, it actually like she was responding to them kind of weirdly. And so it's not an ongoing thing. And she can do chicken just fine now, but initially it did give me that like response. And so, and I hear it from moms all the time, like people are like, chicken stock isn't working. I'm like, okay, switch to lamb, right? And so if you're dealing with eczema, you need to switch it up and go to the lamb. And then you need to give her a little bit of liver, and you need to give her beet kvass, and you need to put castor oil on her liver and help her body detox. So all these supportive things I have inside the First Foods course, and it is an investment worth making because it's going to change your life. It was an eczema flare. Okay, great, Jade. So, yes, I hope you're in the First Foods course too, or Mama Baby Biome, because there's a lot of tips in there. And, you know, so much of what I'm encouraging moms to do all the time is to just keep going. It's like people are working so hard and they're in this space of like, I am learning a lot of new things and I'm trying to help my baby, and I get nervous because I don't know if what I'm doing is the right thing to do. And so much of what I'm helping moms with here is just encouraging them to keep going, and like it expands your mind and blows your mind just how much time it takes for the body to heal. And then like you start seeing the results, and those good results snowball and snowball and snowball. So if you're in that place of feeling like, am I doing the right thing? Nothing seems like it's working. You gotta just stay the course. And honestly, if you feel in your heart that like this method can help you, stop listening to other people. Not just because of me, but because of it's too confusing to listen to many different experts' opinions on what's causing it, what you need to fix it. Like, very few people can listen to a lot of information from different streams of thought and types of thought and organize it and put it into action. Like, most people are listening to way too much advice and it's putting them into freeze mode. So if you're here and you're like, I really think what Kate has to say is like gonna help me, then do yourself the favor of actually doing it for like 3 months, working with the foods, and see what happens, rather than like flip-flopping all over the place and not being able to like know what actually helped and what didn't. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a little piece of advice. And if it's not me, if you want to go and follow one other person who you feel really strongly and like you really want to use their method, then do that. But I'm just saying like it's already hard enough what you're going through, and putting in the mix of like, you know, trying to do 10 different people's ideas, that's hard. That's really hard. And yeah, like kefir is the gold standard with eczema. So if you're on this call and you're like, but my baby can't do dairy, look, that's a statement that is way more nuanced. Like inside the course, in the allergy module and the immune system module, I teach you about why not all dairy is created equal, why these allergens flare, and what it means to heal the gut, which is to heal the immune system, you know, so that you can make progress with your child. Like, I was just thinking about, you know, allergies and just how they're not this thing that's set in stone. But then, of course, it's a very scary situation with some people whose allergens are, you know, anaphylaxis, life-threatening. And in those cases, I really recommend working with someone who understands nutrition and the immune system really, really well as you're building the body to eventually reintroduce those foods. But it's like way far down the line, right? But then there's the majority of people who are just like food sensitive. They have intolerances that's not anaphylaxis. That's the majority of people. But they, you know, they get either IgE or non-IgE type reactions from these foods, and they think like, oh, this is just the way it's going to be. No. Not even close, right? It is so possible to reverse those sensitivities. It takes a little bit of time, it takes work, but it's so possible. Veronica, how often do you change the milk when hibernating the kefir grains? I usually don't, to be honest, but you could probably do it like every couple months. Okay. Hey, Stephanie Octavina, my baby has a histamine intolerance. What would I do? I would work with the GAPS nutritional protocol, and I teach a version of that inside my course. And I have a very specific histamine instructions. When I was building this course, there was a lot of stuff that I was seeing like, oh, you know, my baby can't do sauerkraut, my baby can't do meat stock, it's too high in histamine, and that's a myth. And so I worked with a lot of histamine experts, and we put together the histamine module. Like all the people who work with histamines, I had them read it over, check it out, and I put together a very nuanced plan to help build the baby's gut in a very subtle way. And the histamine lesson is right in module 4, so you just get started with the first foods plan and you heal those. Like, histamines are not bad. We're gonna have histamines in our guts, but the more the liver gets functioning, the more your body's gonna be able to process histamines, the more the gut gets balanced. It's not just histamines, it's parasites, it's all types of things in your baby's little gut, in their gut microbiome. The more that balances out, the less histamines are produced. And yeast is a big player in histamines. So again, you want to hit this from an angle where it's not too much too fast, but still making progress with foods that are actually going to heal and repair the systems that are impaired right now. Do you think you can cure eczema without supplements? Yes, I do. So in terms, my perspective on supplementation is that most supplements are not quality, and I like Smidge products. That's one company that I represent, and also Rosita's. They're actually sister companies. But Smidge has a probiotic that I would recommend for anyone with eczema. It's just a very gentle probiotic, and it's great. Like, we're going to work mostly with foods, right? But you can have this one on hand. You can make a paste with tallow and put it on the skin. You can put it in the sinuses and the ears. It's great for like kind of gauging where kids are at in terms of how sensitive their guts are to probiotics, because it's very subtle, and commercial probiotics are always less strong than food. And so like if your baby is having just reactions, like a little bit of food is too strong, then a little bit of fermented food is too strong, then you can start with a smidge and like slowly build them up. So I do like that. And I also like cod liver oil. But the main focus when reversing the symptoms of eczema is fixing that gut microbiome from the inside out. And then you give the gut enough nutrients to heal, and the skin also heals, because it's actually made up of the same cells. Epithelial cells are all of our skin, the biggest organ of our skin, and in our guts. And I think like, eczema, what I see is a very sensitive situation. And so, meaning like it's sensitive, it's painful for moms to look at, it's emotional, and like the skin weeps, right? We use language around just this sensitivity aspect. And so I find that like working with the subtle energetics of food and sunshine and grounding and supporting the detox pathways is just the best way to go. And like, I love it because I get these before and after pictures that just absolutely blow my mind. So we work on building the gut and healing the microbiome from the inside out. We support the detox pathways, which is just what every human body detoxes. All we're doing is supporting them to do their job better. We can work with, a little bit of cod liver oil and some probiotics, but the main things are the building foods. So meat stock, meat close to the bone, animal fats, all of those nourishing foods to rebuild the gut lining, to make that healthy home, that healthy mucous membrane for the gut bugs. And we slowly work with fermented foods, diversity of fermented foods, drop them in, castor oil on the liver, Epsom salt baths or magnesium salt baths, sunshine every day, naked baby in clean dirt, right? Like, no, as much as possible, you can get your baby's butt in the sunshine. That is so good for eczema. And I don't think you really need supplements, If you wanted to do it all without supplements, then you could. Yes, my plan is similar to the Baby GAPS plan. So I'm a GAPS practitioner, and I worked with hundreds of babies and helping them go through the protocol. And I use my clinical experience to teach within that protocol. And I've changed it slightly based on what I see babies need. And I've added a lot of contextual information in the course that helps parents like ground in the protocol, and also a lot of cooking videos. So everything that you need to learn how to cook is there in the course. I hear my family is coming back, so I'm just going to be closing up here soon to put the kids to bed. But if you have more questions, you can leave them as comments on this live and I will answer them. Jade says, totally relate to what you said. I've tried so many different things, spent so much money, and now that she's one, I've been so worried I haven't been feeding her enough. I'm definitely sticking. Yeah. Feed her. You got it. Feed her. Constipation in a 5-year-old who's picky. Okay. So.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Augie.
We went to the field.
You went to the field?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to put you to bed. I'm on a live Instagram. So, picky eaters, depends on where you want to start. I have a food boundaries course, class. It was just a 1-hour class, and that's all about like creating your family's food values and being able to set boundaries for your kids. And if you join, I actually just remember this, if you join the picky eater course, you get that class included, because it was a part of a promotion that I ran. And so the thing is, if you have a constipation, you definitely need to work on gut health, of course. And if you have picky eater, there's like domino effects that happen with picky eating. So like, first thing, picky eating, kid doesn't want to eat, so they're like actually missing nutrients, and then the immune system's impaired. They're more likely to get chronic infections. Then they're given more antibiotics, and then their microbiome gets weaker, and then they get more adverse to more foods, and it just kind of like goes like that. And so we need to pick all those dominoes back up. And where do we start? We start at the microbiome. So I have a very physiologic approach to helping our picky eaters thrive and become non-picky eaters. And I have a specialty of helping children get back onto eating meats, which they love. And, you know, there's a level of selective eating or like having desires, which is normal. But I think the main thing that parents are missing is the actual nutrition information. Like, what the hell is my kid supposed to eat to be healthy? And that's, again, has that like noise kind of perspective. But there's a lot of things your kids can eat to be healthy. And I make the list really simple. So the simplified list is taught to you by understanding what your child's body needs. Basically, understanding how the body works a little bit. So like, how does digestion actually work? Okay, now I understand. I have like basic knowledge about that. So that translates to what they should actually be eating, because we want to give our kids bioavailable nutrients. But hey, my kid is picky. So how am I supposed to get them to eat those things? Well, all of those strategies are inside the Picky Eater course, and it's not the same for every single kid. And that's why I can't explain it to you all here. But, you know, we really got to start to change over the oral microbiome. We got to start to educate them and involve them about their own body. A 5-year-old, they're aware of things, so you got to tell them we're going to be making some changes. I also talk about picky eating constantly as like the family food culture. So it's not just one thing or one person who's being affected by it, and everybody's got to get on board to make changes, because it's just not fair to that picky eater that other people get to, you know, keep eating pizza and like whatever, and they're on a healing protocol. And in my Picky Eaters course, it's not a full GAPS course. It's a pre-step to GAPS. So it's like, you know, there's strategies for adding in foods before taking away. I would say it's like the precursor to my course, Mama Baby Biome, which is currently not on the market, but about to come back out, which is so exciting. What do you recommend for a 14-month-old that had low iron at 12 months? I recommend that you work on their gut microbiome. So start implementing fermented foods. Start feeding bone marrow every day and liver either every day the size of their palm in a pate, like I just made on my most recent reel, or serve it once or twice a week. Amana, is your program helpful for breastfeeding moms to change their diet so I can cure my eczema? Yes, that's Mama Baby Biome. If you're interested in Mama Baby Biome, you can send me a DM. But Mama Baby Biome is the next step after starting solids for you to work on your own health. Courtney, where to start when little one is sensitive to many foods, environmental things? She's been getting whelps and itchy from the garden hose water. It's like anything that touches her skin flares it. Okay. You just got to start. So you got to start small with meat stock every day. I would do a little baby bird syringe of meat stock for her from lamb, a nice lamb stock. And since she's so sensitive, you need to make it the histamine style, and freeze it every day, and just thaw a little, like a teaspoon amount, and give her just small amounts. So frequency is going to be more important than quantity for her. You just got to start, and then as you build up to more and more meat stock that she's able to tolerate, and higher fat foods, and kefir is going to be great for her eventually. But again, you're going to have to start in these micro amounts, and then you'll start removing more of the starch and sugar that she's probably relying on now, and increasing more to meats and fats. Okay, my girl is going to be 1. However, she does not eat solid food. I have to blend everything. If I give her blended banana, no problem. If I give her a slice of banana, she throws up. Is this normal? So I can't really say if it's normal or not normal, but I think your own attention to it is important. I would stop blending up bananas. I would stop blending up sweet foods for her. I would focus really on savory foods and get her eating more savory only purees. And then I would seek out a trusted person for body work. So I've worked in tons of modalities with body work. I'm just pausing because I'm thinking about your own jaw, your own tongue, your own expansion in that way. And so possibly you could even get the body work, craniosacral perhaps, or the thing that I see works really well is the MRNI reflex integration could be a good next step for you. But just in the beginning, don't think about it don't think about it like my kid's behind or this isn't normal or whatever. Like, just focus on exactly what's in front of your eyes instead of judging it and making it something else, right? Like, oh, she doesn't swallow like big chunks of food. So like, what would you do about that with your own mouth? Do you chew? How does her dad or her, like, the other parent in the house chew food? Like, what kind of environment are you sitting down to at the table? Is it always rushing? Is it, is it chaotic at meal times? What was her birth like? Did she have tongue ties or tongue tie corrections? All of these questions are like big questions, right? And it's an ecological approach. So it's not just one thing, but I always help people with the foundation of food because that can really change our motor skills. That can change, how our nervous system is working, right? If she's having some sort of reflex integration, absolutely having the foundation of foods that are nourishing to her, her central nervous system is going to be very, very important. And for example, someone who's eating a bunch of fruits all day long is not going to get what the brain and the nervous system needs, which is fats and fat soluble vitamins. So like, actually like that she eats pureed food because she can get really bioavailable nutrition that way, and it can be fast. But if you're not giving her the foods that are really, nourishing to her nervous system, then it's going to be a little counterproductive. So I hope that answers. Okay, I'm going to be finishing up. What stock would you use if your son's allergic to chicken, beef, and lamb? I would go turkey. So the thing is, they're not going to be allergic to those things forever. What kind of reactions are they having? Was that like an allergy prick test that you did? There's a lot of follow-up questions I have about that. But whatever stock your baby will eat, that's where I would start. Pork, that would be great. If you could get like a pastured pork neck and make like a really jelly, or pork trotters, you get like the super jelly pork stock and just like let him have pork all day long. Or, you could go duck or turkey. The thing about the birds is they're usually fed some sort of grain that could be also contributing to the problem. And then you can probably quickly switch over to lamb stock. Okay, she eats savory foods. Beatrice, you're like, I'm feeling attacked. No, I hear you. The banana was just an example. I don't know why she does that either. So I'm just giving you things that I would investigate if I were you. And I would stop feeding fruits in that case because I would just want to like really soothe her nervous system. There's so many, maybe not. Maybe you don't have to completely cut out fruits. There's just a lot more questions I can't really answer here. But I encourage you, Mama, and I'm not being critical of you. Anytime someone brings up the fruits, I gotta use an example. EOE, yeah, could be. But a GI doc, it's just so hard to know who to go to these days. Yeah, I know. I'm going to ask around and see if there's if I have any recommendations. Reaction is huge rash around the mouth. Okay, thank you for saying that. Okay, so, and then have you tried meat stock? How do you feel about my recommendation to go to pork? Any stock that like doesn't give a reaction immediately is where you start, and then you just know that like my baby's probably going to have a rash as I heal through this, because honestly rashes are good signs. Like, rashes mean things are leaving the body. It's a healing state, and if we can put the baby with the healing foods and like help the rashes express until they're done expressing, which means the body's gotten more strength, it's a good thing. You're so welcome. She's 10 months old, and I'm with, I don't know, maybe that was the typo, but she doesn't poop until the third day and it's small and hard. No, that is not normal. That's constipation, and I would recommend the First Foods course because I have a constipation lesson. I talk through the top 5 root causes for constipation, and I work through constipation with my own son and a lot of babies, and it's really important to help their microbiome heal, and just, you can probably switch up the foods and really tinker what they're eating and feel a lot better. And then also for you, Mom, Kenya, you might already be in the first foods course, actually, now that I'm seeing your name. But perhaps you need to implement some of the plan for your own diet. Okay, that's all the questions. Thank you so much for being here. And if you like this live, comment on it. And if you have a question from this live, you can comment on it. And I'll see you all soon. I could do more of these if the audience likes it and wants it. Talk to you later.